Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello race fans and welcome to the season finale of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy, live here from the Nurburgring in Germany. My name is Peter Mackay, and joining me in the commentary box this evening will be Sam Fitzpatrick, with Dennis Branch working all the buttons and switches in the production trailer. Sam, it's been a very busy, a very competitive season here in the Apex Racing League GT Trophy, but Gaten Anger, he's got one hand and 4 fingers on the trophy.
Yeah, he's pretty much there, and whilst last season I'm sure would have been very satisfying, I think this second season will be even better for him. A couple of extra rounds to the championship, I think a much stronger opposition as well, and I think he's improved as a driver, so no, it's going to be fantastic to see him pretty much be crowned the champion tonight.
Yeah, I think something would have to go disastrously wrong for Gaten Anger to be overhauled. Points, well, very much in the Frenchman's favour at the moment. Sven Newman is his main rival, who sits 32 points back. And as you were mentioning just before we came on air, Sam, with the drop score, Gaten Anger has not had any bad rounds, really, unlike most of his rivals.
Yeah, exactly. So even if he does score badly tonight, he should be alright. There is the slight complication of penalties. So technically we can't really call someone a champion because, well, if they pick up 6 penalties, they could get 100 off penalty points. So Anger needs to make sure they avoid any contact, really, because that could quite easily be a 25-point penalty, and things could get a little bit complicated in that situation. But besides that, he is looking absolutely imperious at the top, as he has been really for the whole season. I think he's led pretty much every step of the way.
Yeah, and likewise for the Spaniard Juan Manuel Calleja, who's been the standout driver really in the AM category, holds a 22-point advantage over Alain Carrigier. And, well, it would, again, with the AM drivers not scoring as high points overall, again, very much in the driving seat for Juan Manuel Calleja to claim the AM title as well. So it's interesting, Sam, because the BMWs have arguably been the fastest car, particularly at some of the circuits like Monza and the Red Bull Ring that we've been to. But Gaten Anger, he's in the maybe not as favoured Lamborghini. Certainly at the beginning of the season, he's just done the job, been the guy that's made the least mistakes and clocked up the points.
Yeah, and at least the split that I was seeing in the Spa 24, the Lambo wasn't very popular. Interestingly, it was mainly Ferraris, actually. I was broadcasting seconds, the bottom split, though, so I'm not sure if they are necessarily the guys to judge the BOP on. But, yeah, the BMW, very strong car, particularly down the straights. You know, Red Bull Ring, I remember. I think they locked out the top 6 places on the grid. But this is a pretty cool circuit to end the season on. I mean, this place certainly does divide opinion. The Nurburgring GP circuit, particularly a few years ago when I think every series seemed to visit it every single season. I think people were getting a bit sick of it. Now it's used more modestly, and at least I've really warmed to it over time, especially compared to some of the other GP circuits, which are absolutely wide as anything. This one's a little bit more narrow. There's not really any absolutely horrible corners to go through, apart from maybe the arena section at the start of the lap, and there's some great sweepers at the back end of the lap in the second sector and the third sector. So it should be a good one, and I think it should be one where pretty much every car can really thrive. Every car can show its strengths.
Absolutely, I think it's the sign of a proper Grand Prix circuit that tests every part of a vehicle's performance. And I actually think the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit gets a very unfair rap. It's got a bit of show-off neighbour syndrome, I think, because, of course, being right next door to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and, of course, in the case of the NLS Championship and the Nürburgring 24, the circuits actually linked together. So it's like what you've built. You've bought a really nice house, and you think that's really nice, and all your friends come over and say, "I love the house, great," and all the polite things you say when you're British. And then someone turns up, the local Premiership footballer turns up and builds an absolute mansion next door, and you just feel a little bit inadequate. That's maybe of course, other way round, as this circuit was built after the Nordschleife, of course.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of this circuit is absolutely superb. It's just the arena section that they added, which I'm really a fan of. We had the old sweepers through turn 1 and 2, and then went straight through. You can see it's kind of quite obvious where the cut through is, but the cut through isn't anywhere near what it was before. Now it's a very awkward, kind of messy corner through. It used to be a decently fun corner. I think 2002 it was changed, or maybe 2001, not quite sure. And then you would have a proper, it would pretty much all be chicanes. It'd all be kind of long radius chicane corners for the entire course, which I think would be pretty cool. The arena section does interrupt that flow slightly, but still, it doesn't ruin the circuit by any means. And you're nice and quickly out and into the Schumacher-S's, which in these GT3 cars in particular is absolute joy to drive.
That it is, yeah. The second part of the circuit really does have a lovely flow to it. I actually like this section here, known as the Hatzenbach-Bocht. In fact, there's a lot of corners on the Nürburgring GP circuit, which have a variety of names depending on who you speak to. Of course, they've always got a good corner sponsorship salesperson, because the car on screen there, the Porsche just going around what was the Warsteiner curve and then moved to the Bilstein curve as well. So went from beer to fancy suspension parts. I think they should have stuck with the beer, to be honest.
Well, I think the final corner is Coca-Cola curve, if I recall correctly. At least it
now Hyundai N.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah. Well, that's what we love about race circuits, isn't it? Yeah. Love those sponsorship names. Imagine if they sold all the corners at Silverstone and got rid of Stowe and I don't know, made it Aston Martin corner or yeah, maybe Cops turns to Panasonic or something. I don't know. Maybe one of the corners could be called Apex Racing, and that could be a good business opportunity for them, or Apex Racing TV. But no, that wouldn't be too nice, I must say. But thankfully, most of the corners here, I guess we couldn't get too affectionate to before they were changed to sponsor names. So I guess it's not as bad as it could be.
No, that's true. We're not getting too attached to it. So I have to say, I do like the idea of naming them after honourable people in the motor racing industry. And of course, in a little over a month's time, the first corner going onto the Nordschleife off the GP circuit will be renamed the Sabine Schmitz curve, which I think is just such a fitting tribute to a wonderful lady who, to be honest, actually instilled a passion for cars and driving through her appearances on Top Gear, but also behind the wheel of her Fricadelli racing team race cars. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful idea.
Absolutely, yeah. It's pretty cool that she's got turn 1 named after her, and yeah, it would be pretty cool to see that whenever we visit the circuit again. Easy one for us commentators as well to remember in the future. So no, that's very good that they've done that. As time's coming in, 2 more minutes to go in this qualifying session. Drivers get a maximum of 4 laps, so the lap times that they're just completing now are their 3rd lap times. In fact, actually, Tabone only just moving on to his 3rd lap time, so they won't have time, pretty much anyone, because remember, you've got to do the 4 laps plus your out lap as well. Jason Hodgson just moving up to a 13th position there. That is top of the amateur drivers, so great work from him. And currently Sven Newman at the top of the standings. And I mean, so far this season, Peter, Newman hasn't really been known necessarily for his qualifying. I think he has got 1 or 2 pole positions, but it's tended to be Mickey Owen and maybe some of the other drivers who have taken kind of the big wins in qualifying. But this is 4/10 of a second clear of the rest of the field. I mean, absolutely epic here from Sven.
It's fantastic. It's typical Sven Newman, isn't it? We see him do this a lot. He really comes on strong at the end of a season. I remember his dominant performance at Long Beach at the last round of the ARL GT Championship before it became the Wave Italy GT Championship. And yeah, he obviously he takes a minute to get going, but once he gets going, he's faster than anybody.
For sure, and it looks so good for him in the championship after Red Bull Ring. I think he'd outscored Anger in 2 consecutive races, and it just hasn't quite gone his way. Imola was a problem. Brands Hatch we knew was going to be a tricky one, as he goes even faster now with a 54.5. But yeah, Brands Hatch we knew was going to be a problem, but that was also a poor one. I think he finished outside the top 8 on that occasion, so he hasn't quite been able to put the challenge on Anger as he would have liked, but to finish off the season with a win would be an absolutely terrific result for him, and would give him probably some confidence heading into next season.
That it will. Well, not often do we see even double champions, certainly consecutively, here in the Apex Racing League, but will Gaten Anger come back and go for a treble? That would be quite momentous if he were able to pull it off. But this is how they will start for the final round of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy for Season 2. Sven Newman for Core Sim Racing will start on pole position by 4/10 of a second from Luke McCoy. A huge margin in this context. Carl Winkler and Brandon Tabone will start on row 2. Good qualifying for Brandon. Mark Fletcher and Gaten Anger, the champion-elect, will start on row 3. Jonathan Poulet, Maxime Marriott, Dominic Engel and Tom Dadswell round out the top 10. Leon Penn will start from 11th. Kenny Rosens will start 13th. Not the usual pace for Kenny. Kieran Smart joining him on row 7. Jason Hodgson and Alan Caragier will be the front row of the AM field on 8th row overall. Juan Manuel Calleja will start from 17th, followed by Josh Wiggins, Dave Erden, and Aaron Smith rounds out your top 20. Paul Robson starts on 21st, followed by Angel Pedrero, Fernando Torres, and Stefan Nikolajevic on the 24th spot, with Hakan Grebstad, Dan Murray, and Yuri Pepin Evers rounding out the 27-car grid here at the Nurburgring. 60 minutes of racing with a pit stop in between. The drivers have about 40 minutes worth of fuel on board as it stands. That's the maximum fuel cell that they have available to them. So a relatively wide fuel window. But where will they make their stops? 65 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature, so very cool indeed, Sam. So we should see some quick lap times, and the tyres stay in the window through most of the race, hopefully.
Yeah, that really shouldn't be too much of a problem for the drivers. Nice and early in the morning, so these are the conditions they would have prepared for. And I believe maybe IMSA is visiting this circuit this week. All the rounds kind of based on the official series, whether that be IMSA or the iRacing Le Mans series, of course. Not the Le Mans series, the European Sprint series. Like 18 months ago that was changed and I still haven't got used to it. By the way, a championship that we haven't spoken about is the Teams Championship. And at the moment that's Pi Competition Esports at the top of the standings in that one with 614 points. About 50 points clear of course Sim Racing 1. Now I don't think there's going to be a change in that one because I believe that's Anger and Marriott driving for Pi Motorsports and they've been in good form recently. No changes in recent rounds between those two teams, so it would need to be amazing for Course Sim Racing 1 in order to overturn that one, but no drop scores, so there is a bit more volatility in that championship compared to the Drivers' Championships.
Okay, Porsche 911 pace car pulls into pit lane. Sven Newman will lead us into 60 minutes of racing here at the Nurburgring in the beautiful Eifel region of Germany. Luke McCohen will join him alongside on row 1. Green, green, green. We are racing at the Nurburgring. Down they go towards turn 1. Really tricky braking zone here. It's downhill. Gonna lean on that ABS system really hard as well as Sven Newman leaves the door open ever so slightly, but just pulls it back in and into the lead. Luke McCohen joining him right behind in second position, but the drivers all getting through relatively clean, which is not always the case at that arena section, Sam.
Yeah, I thought there might be contact between Winkler and Anger actually, because Winkler kind of went for a move to come back at Tabone, and Anger nearly went into the back of him, but fortunately they were able to get through. Kenny Roosens with a very strong start, up 4 places. If Roosens can make his way through the field quick, then he could definitely be a challenge for the race win. I really have no clue what happened to him in qualifying because he's been the best qualifier this season, so 1.3 seconds on. Clearly something happening there. And Grebstad and Nikola Javic battling one another. Bigger start for Grebstad actually, up 4 positions. I believe he may have had a pit lane start, so he is storming through. And Nikola Javic is one of his victims. The Pi Competition Esports driver drops down 1 place, as that is someone very far off the circuit. That's Tom Dadswell.
Oh, that's a pity after... Oh, no, it's not. I don't know if it is Dadswell. Dadswell's still showing in 11th on the timing screen. Oh, no, you're... Wow, okay, so Tom Dadswell had started in 10th, but little mistake, but still in 12th position. I think he's maybe serving the last part of a slowdown penalty. Yes, he is, as now starts to lose the positions. So good spot, Sam. Let's see what happens. I think it was coming up into the Michael Schumacher S. So you mount the curb on the entry and then, just gets in a bit of a wiggle. Over the gravel he goes, gasses it up, and that'll be where the slowdown penalty came from.
Yeah, and on that one, those slowdowns are absolutely horrible, so he lost quite a bit of time there. Roosens had a problem at the back end of that lap, it seemed, because he dropped back down to 11th position. He was up into 9th, I believe. Plus he was going to get a free position from the driver who went off Dadswell. So yeah, I think he got a slowdown or something. As Nikola Javic is all over the place there. He was battling with Dadswell, who I think was just making his way back through. So Dadswell absolutely crushed by that. So that's so bad on that point that it's kind of tripled is the time lost most of the time. Also this type battle for the amateur class. This is Robson just holding off Pedrero at the moment with Fernando Torres. Quick in behind.
So Juan Manuel Calleja up to the lead of the AM class, 0.8 of a second ahead of class pole sitter Jason Hodgson. And a really good spot already, 7 seconds ahead of their nearest AM championship contender. That's the Swiss driver Erdine. But, well, we'll see how it shakes out over the course of the day. Gaten Anger, champion-elect, doing really what he does best. Not necessarily rapid in qualifying, but just picking his way through the fields one by one, and he is in a perfect position to clinch his second consecutive ARL GT trophy. I can't say I like that chicane. I mean, Gaten Anger drove it beautifully, but the chicane itself is horrible.
You are right. It's been the last couple of years I feel like I've been able to kind of identify what makes a good chicane. Now, a good chicane needs to be wide enough for 2 cars, and that's not wide enough for 2 cars. It's too narrow.
And not 90 degrees, 2 90-degree left and right-handers stuck together.
Yeah, I personally like... Oh, as Evers is off the track. I personally like the Abu Dhabi chicane, you know, at the end of the first back straight, where you got a bit of a gap.
Oh, yeah.
Super wide. You can go for a big move in the first one and then kind of get the cut back. It is off camber, so I'm not a fan of that one, but you know, that kind of shape I think is good. As Cagier, he qualified well to Cagier, but he's had a miserable race so far, down 8 places, and I think that was mainly on him. But that kind of just showing the difficulties as well, because you've got to go so slow and it's easy to catch out your rival. But no, I think that's something that everyone can agree on. Please change that chicane, Nurburgring.
Thing is, if that's the NGK chicane, if you have the Vidal chicane, which is the much faster configuration that they use when paired up with the Nordschleife, and it is, you've really got to thread the needle, and you've got to pick your line just right, and that's a proper challenging corner. And you know, actually, you've even bizarrely actually got more chance of making a move there. It's not really advisable, I would say, but at least you can do it where it's almost impossible at that particular layout. But no matter, as they say, it's the same for everybody. Bizarre qualifying for Kenny Rosens. We're not used to seeing him really off the front row, but he was over a second off the pace in qualifying. It's just not like him.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yep, no idea what's going on with that one, but he's coming back again, so that's past Engel. He's no slouch. But if Roosens hadn't have got that slowdown on that point, I think he would have had a good chance at a podium. But that slowdown's really cost him time there. It has taken him a couple of laps to get past Engel. So we'll see what his pace is like. Maybe a lack of practice, a reason for that. But honestly, these guys are so quick. This is a very common circuit that they'll visit. It usually takes them a couple of laps, and that's the very frustrating thing. That's mortal speed. So we can do 100 laps around this place, and then these guys can pop in, and on their first flying lap they're matching us, and then on the second one they're half a second faster. So I'm really not sure what happened there to Reasons. I assume he just didn't get a clean lap.
Yeah, quite possibly. The track limits are pretty heavily enforced here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, so it might have been that his quick laps were cancelled, and maybe just had to get a banker in. I don't know. It's amazing that the opening arena section, everybody would perhaps assume that all the really fast corners are really where the time's laid up. You've got to be really brave, but as Poulet has hit problems with good spot, Sam. But it's actually the really slow technical part, like the arena, which is where the fast guys really make up the lap time.
Yeah. That's where the top guys really show their skill. As this is what happened to Poulet. So he was having a real good battle actually. Oh man, well that was so lucky. Well, I think that was kind of opposite netcode there. He kind of merged through, and Marriott should have spun there because he had him right in the corner. But he kind of just drove through him a bit. As Kieran Smart, that's the wrong name, mate. And turn off the traction control, do a nice spin, moving on, and that will send him down. So yeah, he's down to 16th position, and so that was a shame then, the incident for Poulet, because he was having a great battle with Marriott. I think Marriott or Poulet had just been on to defend from Marriott in the first part of the lap, and then unfortunately making that mistake. And that's not great as well for Pi competition esports, because they are going for the team's championship, but Course Sim Racing 1 aren't doing too well. Of course, Newman is out in the lead at the moment, but the next Course Sim Racing 1 driver is there is actually one out the second, so Newman's out there by himself, And so, yeah, it's looking very good for Pioneer Esports. Just got to get a couple of points on the board.
Indeed. Well, Jason Hodgson has recovered a little bit after a slightly shaky start. Now all over the back of Juan Manuel Calleja. Now, these two cars will be quite, they'll make up their lap time in different ways. You can really see the low down grunt and torque of the BMW M4 GT3. But when we get to the corners, when we get to the twisty stuff, particularly the medium to high speed stuff, well, the Lamborghini is a properly quick piece of kit. And then alternatively, of course, you've got the Pro Class Porsche of Hakan Grebstad right behind. Coming out the slow corners, those slow uphill corners, that Porsche just boogies with that 4-litre flat six hanging out over the back wheels. That really gives it a good traction, just squishes the back wheels into the track surface and gives it a really good grip and purchase. How will all these respective cars get on this weekend at the Spa 24 Hour? I wonder. Of course, not the BMW M4 GT3 because it's not quite ready for service just yet.
Reasons past Mayo. Caught that one very quick. What's the delay with the BMW then? That was meant to be ready a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Well, yes, you're absolutely spot on, Sam. It was meant to have its debut at the NLS, the Nurburgring Championship, previously known as VLN. And it had a bit of a crash in practice. Now, I don't know if it was actually a technical issue that caused the crash or if it was driver error. I think it was the former, and they've decided to delay it for a little bit longer. So a little bit more testing required, but that's entirely normal with a new race car.
I mean, I've said it a few times, but it's just crazy that we've already had it on the sim for 5 months, I think. I don't think it was the last build, was it? It was the one before, December. No, not December, February, March, April, June.
No, it was the end of last year, actually. It was
Okay.
just before Christmas.
Okay, yeah, so yeah.
It came along with the Lamborghini.
So 8 months. In that case, Nikola Jovic has had a problem. That is yeah, crazy. And yeah, it's been pretty fun. It'll be cool to see it on the track a bit more, see kind of how it compares. I'm sure it'll be very similar, obviously, but I don't know if there'll be a couple of discrepancies that maybe they've changed or maybe iRacing just missed, but which I'm sure they'll be very quick to fix again. But no, it's certainly been very competitive as well since its debut, as Calleja still only just ahead of Hodgson. I'm not sure if Hodgson has got an amateur race win this season. I think he's probably got 1 or 2. It's been a very competitive amateur field this season with 4 or 5 drivers constantly fighting at the front. Calleja, Hodgson, Smith, Caragier, Wiggins won last time out at Spa. But it's been a bit annoying where it always seems to be a case where, like, maybe out of the 5 of them, 4 of them have problems and 1 then goes through to the finish, so and gets an easy win. So hopefully we have a nice battle between Calleja and Hodgson at least to the end of the race.
Yeah, it's a good point, Sam. There has been a lot of sort of winning by 30 seconds in the AM Championship, but everyone's had their turn at that. Looking back from the BMW of Kenny Rosens at Maxime Marriott for Fiercely Forward Racing, who has been superb this season, I have to say, in that Porsche 911 GT3R, which I must say does look very good in those slow corners, so planted and then up hard on the power, and it just grips and goes. But the thing is, the one thing you can't deny is that once the BMW does hook up, it's just got so much grunt and torque. And actually it's really stable in the corners. I mean, no wonder it's such a popular package here on the iRacing simulator.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe it's been the best car of the season. I mean, each season, it depends which circuits you visit. I mean, we visit quite a few big circuits in this series. We kind of pick the most appropriate tracks for 50, 60 odd cars. Whereas maybe GT3 official series may visit some smaller circuits like an Alton Park, for example, you wouldn't really ever visit that place in this championship, limited pit stalls and all that. So yeah, whilst in the officials, maybe one car might be the best in this championship. Another car might be the best, but Fletcher's very close right now to the back of Anger. Wasn't able to quite get the overspeed. Both in Lamborghinis are these two, so don't expect too much of a characteristic difference between these two cars. So I'll give a quick shout out to SDK Gaming, who is the provider of our amazing overlay, which has, I'm sure, given you so much information so far this season. A very small tangent, I was watching the Olympics earlier on, and my goodness, they need SDK Gaming, because I was really struggling to follow the gymnastics. I'm sure you were all watching it along with myself. And yeah, they don't ever show the scores. With SDK Gaming though, you got all the information you could possibly want. Maybe I've been spoiled by it, frankly, over the years, because there's so much data, all different graphics, which can show you lots of different information. We have it as our live timing application as well. You can also sync your cameras up to a broadcaster, so we can see exactly what the broadcaster is saying. Our cameras change automatically, which is absolutely fantastic feature. And it's also great as well as a heads-up display, because it's got a fuel calculator and everything you need for the strategic element of racing. So do make sure to go to sdk-gaming.co.uk in order to get yourself a 14-day free trial as Caragier moves past Torres.
And if SDK Gaming doesn't make you go any faster, well, we have a solution for that as well, don't we, Sam?
We sure do. Well, we've got a couple of solutions to it, haven't we? We've got Apex Racing Academy and Virtual Racing School, both offering Virtual Racing School with 50 data packs, Apex Racing Academy with 29 data packs, and yeah, each one kind of has maybe pros over the other, but the great thing is that they're integrated with one another. So you can use the fantastic setup sync technology from Apex Racing Academy for your Virtual Racing School setups, where you launch into the iRacing sim, and all the setups are magically there for you. It saves you so much time, and you don't have to fiddle around putting it in the correct folder in your file directory and whatever. It's just there straight away. And then Virtual Racing School have amazing data analysis software as well, where there's some real in-depth telemetry which can help you identify where to improve your lap times. Also, both of course have some terrific coaches who are some of the best drivers in all of iRacing. So either download both, which you can do, or you can just download one or the other perhaps to give a taste of one. Everyone at Apex Racing TV all uses it, because we absolutely love both services. So big thanks to Apex Racing Academy and Virtual Racing School for supporting the series and offering some prizes as well to the drivers, because the winners of the championships, the top 3 in each of the championships, get some subscriptions. I believe a 1-year subscription to the amateur, to both championship winners, which means, Peter, I believe Gates and Anger will have 2 years worth of Apex Racing Academy subscriptions, I believe. So that's quite a prize.
Well, I wonder if he's got the setup dialed into that Lamborghini at the moment, because again he's running a really solid race, 5th position. And normally when you hear people say, "Oh, that's a solid race," if you see a solid race on a press release, that means it's been middling at best. But that's not the Gate and Anger has just been superb, really clocked up the points when others have faltered, and he's not made any of the slightly silly mistakes, let's be honest, that some of the rivals have made. But what can we say about Sven Newman? In a little over a quarter of an hour, Sven Newman has just walked away with a commanding lead. He's nearly 5 seconds to the good from Luke McCohen, who actually did this to the rest of the field a couple of rounds ago. And Newman, his best lap time is half a second quicker than the nearest driver. He is flying right now.
We have not seen this all season long, as Reasons has just got past Anger, I believe. Did Anger make a mistake? Because I may have been blind, and whilst I was talking about sponsors and that, I may have missed a mistake from Anger, because he's dropped behind Fletcher as well. It was a dreadful lap, and yeah, he picked up a slowdown, so maybe we could rewind that one a bit and see why he went off in the first place. I wonder, maybe Fletcher went for the move, and then because of the narrow chicane, maybe Anger had to bail from the corner. Nah, it was by himself then, so he just cut that chicane too much, I guess, and had to serve a slowdown.
Oh dear, not something we see very often. A little error from Gate and Anger, but he's done the hard work across the season to ensure that he's got it in the bag, shall we say. So, Kenny Rosens, this has been a super drive as well. He might not have had the pace in qualifying for whatever reason, but has progressed from outside of the top 10 up into 6th place and continues to march ahead. Now, what is Kenny Rosens' best lap time, I wonder? 155.6, yes. He's the only driver really to match the pace of either... he's matched the pace of McCohen, but nobody has matched the pace of Newman. So the Kenny Rosens does have podium pace if he can keep going.
Yeah. And once again, where could it have been if it weren't for the slowdown? That's 3 seconds on that lap, on that first lap, because of a slowdown. You'd be right with these two, Winkler and Fletcher. But still in his hands. I guess he's still got the potential to catch and pass all these drivers. Lots of curb being taken. These GT3 cars are all right over the curves. You've got to be a bit careful, but compared to Formula 3 cars, some of the prototypes we have in iRacing, it's a lot easier, and you don't really risk picking up any splitter damage as well. You'd really have to launch yourself over to get any of that. Fletcher's looking very quick actually, because remember he was kind of stuck behind Anger, and it's only taken him a lap to catch up to Winkler. He was 3/10 faster, and now he's into the 55, so he was matching to Bone and faster than McKeown on that last lap. So he's looking quick, is Fletcher. I'm just wondering if maybe the straight line speed of that Lambo might make it tricky to overtake, whereas if it was the other way round, the final chicane would be an obvious choice. Fletcher may have to pick another place to overtake, seeing the strengths of his car.
Alain Carrigier into pit lane from 7th in the AM class, taking his pit stop at really the earliest possible opportunity, because filling up now, that will only just about get you to the end on the fuel load the drivers have been given, or the fuel cell that they've been given. So, Carrigier, it's interesting when I always find if you've had a poor start, sometimes it's nice to get into pit lane early and just break the rhythm a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Get yourself some clean air as Nikola Javic versus versus Smith. This is a terrific battle. Can Nikola Jovic just pull ahead here? I think he's going to have it covered off. Gets the call from the spot so that he's clear, and darts to the right side of the circuit, covers off the inside line, and moves ahead. But that was terrific to see these two very big Lamborghinis. A couple of these GT3 manufacturers are very big cars, and they managed to just about find a way through the 6-7 chicane.
I think the Lamborghini is such a menacing looking car. It's low, it's wide, it's got big wings on it. It's almost like it should have guns coming out the top of it as well, like laser guns.
Yeah,
water pistols at the front.
It's something from maybe this. Oh, Hereford, that's a corner. He's actually recovered that fairly well. Squares off the corner. He's going to go all out defence now against Poulet, who's had a very poor race as Jonathan Poulet. Starts at 7th, down to 11th, but or down to 12th, but it looks like he is going to be able to move up into 11th now. Just nips ahead, so nice work there from the Belgian driver. But no, it looks like something from like some kind of sci-fi movie. It looks like the most kind of unrealistic car almost, compared to these other fairly ordinary cars in comparison. As that's a mistake from Winkler, and Fletcher moves up to 4th position.
Yeah, just the slightest of twitch there was enough, and Kenny Rosens is going to come to take some as well. Going around the outside at Hatzenbach Bocht or the Michelin curve, depending what you prefer, and then up towards Vorsteiner. And Rosens gets the move done, so he'll set off in hot pursuit of Fletcher. Rosens really in the groove now as the Belgian. He really has been the fastest driver over one lap throughout the season, but just hasn't been able to put it together. As Gaten Anger into pit lane, so also taking an early pit strategy.
I thought it was a connection issue, but I thought maybe it was the toe.
Okay. Oh my. I think that looks like a hardware failure because he wasn't hitting the brakes.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Sorry for almost interrupting you there, Peter. But yeah, he was skidding across the grass. I know that's tricky. You know, the car's not going to slow down very quick, but he was going to be able to avoid the wall there. And then, yeah, he didn't actually have to take back to the pits there. So what there from Anger, and I will do some sums just to make sure that he's all right. I think his job score's good enough that he can't be caught, but and he hasn't picked up any penalties tonight, which can harm you because your penalty points are added to your season points, so they can't be dropped. Your penalty points. So I will do some subs, but this will definitely be his job score and his worst ever result in Apex Racing League GT Trophy history.
Now, do you reckon, Sam, that was it's almost like his hardware disconnected there. It was like his steering wheel disconnected or something like that. It seemed a bizarre incident.
Yeah, I think maybe the initial spin was ordinary, but then the fact that it kept on travelling into the wall, very odd. We'll have to see if he comes back out on circuit. But he wasn't very confident before that either, was he? So maybe there wasn't something big, maybe it wasn't a sudden thing, maybe it was, I don't know, getting occasional screen freezes, maybe he didn't have any force feedback in his wheel. I mean, a whole multitude of things, but I mean, he was very slow in comparison to normal, so maybe that's a clue as to what his problems were.
That's a real shame for Gaten Anger. A shame after having just so many strong runs throughout the entirety of the season, and well, he already a lap down, so if he's in pit lane for a great deal longer, then he won't be scoring any points. But as you mentioned there, Sam, that drop score is definitely going to, I think, play in Gaten Anger's favour, that is for certain. So, 25 minutes down, 35 to go, and Kenny Rosen's now pushing along into 5th place. And, well, this is up to Sven Newman, though. He's the man at the front. He's the man in control. Tom Dadswell into pit lane for a quick splash and dash and then back out on circuit. And, well, there's almost an air of inevitability here. Kenny Rosens is just on the charge, and Fletcher, the next one of his prey.
Yeah, but Fletcher's... Well, Mickey Owens also found some pace. I was about to say Fletcher's, really fast, but Mickey Owens even faster right now. But no, Fletcher's not too slow himself. In the 55s, Rosen seems to be very up and down. He seems to do one good lap and then maybe has a slightly sluggish next lap. But yeah, I think by the end of the race, Rosen should be ahead and will be setting his sights on gets a whole lot higher as Mickey Owen is dropping down the order, and I think we tried to cut to him just a moment ago, but I think his maybe some kind of connection issue. He could always pop back in, could Mickey Owen, any moment. I mean, he could just suddenly reappear on screen, but no, actually he's manually disconnected. So problem there for Luke McCowan, and our P3 man seems to be out of it. P2 man, sorry.
Ah, well, that's a real pity for Luke McCowan, race winner here in the Apex Racing League GT Trophy. And that makes, that certainly makes Sven Newman's job quite a bit easier. Well, Brandon Tebone moves up to second, Fletcher to the podium positions for now. Almost identical on lap time with where Fletcher and Rosen's that time by. And into the mid 55s, that's very, very quick. Only a select few drivers have been able to get into that 55 bracket.
Just having a look back at when Mickey Owen disappeared, and he did just disappear. It wasn't a case of like Anger where he had a spin, he didn't pull to the side of the circuit. He just all of a sudden disappeared, which seems to be maybe like a connection fault for him. But it was a manual disconnect, it seems, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but hopefully we'll get a message from him, perhaps on Discord or on the YouTube stream to enlighten us about that one. But don't think Luke would be one to quit because he was having a decent result. Brandon was getting very close, so it was like a nice battle. But yeah, no more on that one, and it promotes losers to upper place. And also, I was just looking at the points as well. And going into this round, the gap between the top two was 32 points, and the most amount of points that Anger can lose is 15 points tonight because drop score is so good. That is, drop score is only 15 points off a maximum score, 35 to 50. And so, if it ends like this, the gap will come down to 17 points in the championship, I believe. Maybe Newman might get a bonus point, I guess, which would bring it down to 16. But yeah, once again, as long as Anger avoids a penalty, which could cost him 25 points, he should be alright. So if anything, it might be best for him not to rejoin the circuits, to be honest. Just avoid any penalties. He doesn't need the points, his drop score's good enough, and he should be champion.
Yeah, like you say, maybe best to stay in pit lane and grab a cold beer. As whoa, a mistake there for one Manuel Calleja, and Jason Hodgson actually does a great job to avoid the Spanish driver. Could have kept the throttle open and had an accident there, but decided to jump out of it, and they carry on. Brilliant stuff, brilliant, very clean from Jason Hodgson there. It's very easy to remain stubborn, going, no, you've made a mistake, I'm just going to keep going, and you end up in a crash. So watch this in the chopper cam. So Calleja goes wide, and Hodgson actually has to just basically dive out the way, and really should have gone through there, but or could have gone. Well, you think he might well have deserved to go through there, but avoided the incident and still there to fight another day.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get the slow down there, and he was going to have to pull behind, but seemingly not. Hodgson looks quick, and maybe this would be a good time for Hodgson to come into the pits, get that undercut, and try to get through that way, because he yeah, it does seem to be faster. He wants to get a little bit closer than this though before he nips on in. Just get within a couple of tenths of a second if he possibly can in the Lamborghini, as Fletcher coming under increasing pressure from Losers, but Losers not quite close enough. So Fletcher has hung on for a while, but I think you're right earlier on about the inevitability. I just cannot see Fletcher keeping behind the Belgian driver for half the race.
Well, half the race, we have hit the halfway mark now as well, so we're heading into the latter part of the fuel window, so we should see our leading cars coming into pit lane now, as here comes Kenny Rosens then, up the inside of Mark Fletcher, and gets the move done. Up into third spot he goes. Next up, Brandon Tabone. And how far can Kenny Rosens get up this field? I think unless Sven Newman makes a mistake, the win is going to be a tricky one, but runners-up spot from 12th on the grid, that would do nicely.
Yeah, and that might give him up the championship, potentially. But not 100% sure for that, and I imagine that might help Valkyrie Esports as well in the teams championship as well. So yep, every position would be good for him. And with the form that Newman's been in tonight, honestly, second position would be a quite good runners-up spot. We saw an insane winning margin for Mickey Owen at Imola, didn't we? I think it was 22, 23 seconds by the end of the race. I mean, Newman keeps up this pace, could be seeing 20 seconds once again.
Yeah, it could be for sure. And Sven Newman now just coming across a little bit of traffic. I wonder if that might spark his trip to pit lane, as Angel Pedrero brings the Nitro Racing Team Porsche into pit lane. Pulls up. So, Kenny Rosens, while he's got a bit of clean air, you might imagine that he'll run the tank on this BMW M4 as deep as he can, as dry as he can go, really. While he has that clean air, it's all about maximising the amount of time that you have in clean air. And at the moment, Sven Newman, wow, fast lap time, 1:55.4. That's really, really quick. But he carries on, Sam. That's interesting, because now he's going to hit big traffic.
Yeah, I guess maybe he was thinking that if he comes into the pits, he might end up in even more traffic. And traffic that he wouldn't be obliged to let him past. So maybe that's his thinking there. But yeah, it's not the best place to be. I'm sure he'd prefer these guys to be a few seconds further up the road. We should be within 5 minutes of the pit stops. Wiggins just getting past Torres there, so using the race leader Newman to his advantage, because Torres was very generous. I think a bit over generous. Yeah, he was a bit over generous there, and let him past. Smith with the fastest amateur lap of the race, highlights purple. He's 11 seconds off the amateur lead. Don't see that one changing. He was actually only 0.3 faster than the amateur leaders. He needs to be going best part of the second lap faster to Smith, so probably not going to happen on that one. And whilst this season is coming to an end, this is round 8 out of 8 of the season 2 of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy Championship. We have got a new exciting championship starting up in 3 weeks' time on this slot, and it's very similar to this one. Really, it's just a name change and a couple of rule changes. It's the Apex Racing League GT3 Trophy. So this season, there's the potential multi-class. Next season, we are going all out single class, and that means everyone on circuit for qualifying, and a couple of other changes as well with the format, and that is the GT3 Pro Championship. So for the first time in Apex Racing League Series, we're going to have a minimum I rating of 2.2000. So as long as you've got a 2.2000 I rating along with a D license on tarmac road, then you should be good to race, and that will be made. That announcement will come out later today. So if you join the Apex Racing League Discord, there is a link to that in the description below. Join that and you will get pinged probably later on with an announcement for that upcoming championship starting in 3 weeks' time. Very similar to this, 1 hour races, the first season of the Apex Racing League GT3 Pro Trophy.
Well, that's the sort of getting pinged you want.
Yes.
An opportunity to race in a competitive championship. Going, oh, I fancy a bit of that. That sounds good. As our AM Championship winner-elect, Juan Manuel Calleja, brings the BMW into pit lane to top up with some fuel. I'm sure, being Spanish, it'll be Repsol fuel. I'm sure.
I did not know Repsol were Spanish. I see.
Oh yes, yes, absolutely, yes. Well, not all obviously, but the lots and lots of petrol stations in Spain are Repsol, and of course, being a MotoGP fan, I always, if I'm going to fill up a hire car, you'll go past the Total. No. I only fill up my hire car with Repsol.
Well, I of course they are the Honda sponsors, aren't they?
Yes.
Even title sponsors, are they Repsol Honda?
Yes, have been for it's probably one of the longest title sponsorships in racing history, actually, to be honest. As Dominic Engel takes a huge lunge on Aaron Smith. Yes, indeed, it's been going since Mick Doohan came into the Honda factory team, which was in the mid-90s. So it's 25 years and more, but the livery has barely changed. I do think they need to get a bit more exciting with the livery.
Yeah, maybe. We needed some classic livery. By changing the livery, you get some classic ones, and it becomes pretty awesome in the future. So as all the drivers are coming into the pit, so just Hereford then being able to go that extra lap. He was in traffic for most of that stint, I think, behind Gripstad, if I recall correctly. Or maybe someone else. He was quite close to Poulet actually as well. So Newman out of the pits, no worries. That has been the problem for Course Sim Racing a few times this season. The pit entry line hasn't been their friend, but no such problems this time. Newman, headed to Bone. Rosen's very close now to Bone. So Rosen's made up 2 seconds in the pits. Tabone had just about enough time, but that is not what the Maltese driver needed, because Rosen is quick enough. He would have quite been enjoying having a bit of a buffer to the third place man, but instead the BMW is all over the back of it.
Yeah, that's not what you need to see. The only thing that may be a consideration is that Kenny Rosen's just short-filled slightly to try and get some track position, and we'll have to be on a bit of a fuel save. But even then, Kenny Rosen's on a fuel save is still very fast. So it'll be interesting how Brandon Tabone fares here, but qualified right up. He's not out of position. He qualified fair and square in this position and has the pace, is the same type of car. So we'll see. Let's see how Kenny Rosen's gets on here versus Tabone. Once again, Hereford, I think it was Grebstad a couple of races ago as well. The Norwegians, they seem to be able to stretch the tank that little bit longer than the rest.
They do have quite a bit of oil in Norway. I don't know, maybe they're using that to their advantage. That's my very basic knowledge of Norway done.
You've got it.
Although he's coming into the pits and drifting his way in, classic Scandinavian style. But didn't even need to watch, but you know, and he will be using his rallying skills. Yep. On the entry. Haven't done enough of that this season. And by the way, changed for the amateur race leaders. Just need to check that Rosens doesn't take it. But changed for the amateur. Oh no! Oh well, okay. Change again then. Cahaya's back ahead of Hodgson, but Hodgson was ahead earlier on in this lap. So Cahaya, remember, pitted earlier. And I think Hodgson's just made a mistake perhaps. You can see he's dropping off the back of him. So was able to get ahead in the pit stops, but has given it up again. Infuriating mistake there for Hodgson because, well, he had to work so hard for the overtake. I wonder if you could see a replay of how that switched back around earlier in the lap.
I can't believe, Sam, that I have to say I have to check myself every single time. But for poor Jason Hodgson, of course, our Apex Racing TV commentary colleague. Oh, just let him go. Our Apex Racing TV commentary colleague Jim Hodgson and fellow Commentatori Squadra Corse member, and of course driving a Lamborghini, which we have in our Commentatori Squadra Corse garage. I'm amazed neither of us has called him Jim Hodgson up tonight.
Yeah, it went through my mind when he was grading up. I thought, well, hang on, which one is it?
Jim.
Yeah.
Jimbo.
Very easy mistake to make, but no, it just shows how good commentators we are. It's honestly the fact that we can distinguish between some names which sound similar to one another. It's quite a skill that we've accumulated. Don't want to boast or anything, but Hodgson's issue, by the way, was actually I think I've just been referring to him as Hodgson this whole season, so I haven't been able to make the mistake, to be fair. So maybe that's the reason. Hodgson picking up a slowdown, I think, through the Schumacher S, which in my experience can quite easily happen, particularly on the second part of the corner, as Rosens is ahead of Tabone. He was close a couple of laps ago into turn 1. He is ahead this time, and yeah, that was fairly easy for him. So the man who started down in 13th position, I thought he may have ruined his chances of a podium, honestly, after that poor lap 1, but he has really done impressively, and he's up to the runner-up spot with 20 minutes to go.
I have to say, I think Kenny Rosens will be coming out of this season really unable to understand. Josh Wiggins goes for a spin. I have to say, I think Kenny Rosens might be coming out of this season a little bit perplexed as how he hasn't won the championship, because he's definitely been the fastest driver on outright pace. Oh, Biff! Oh, well, Dad won't be well after that little bump.
Well done. Hope you're proud of yourself.
Yeah, couldn't help it. Don't pretend you wouldn't have taken that one.
Oh no! I absolutely would have. I'm just a bit. Honestly, I'm just spiteful that you've taken it.
Oh, but, sorry.
I'll probably still use it later on. Never gets old.
Repetition is
fine. This season.
But I was coming back to the very serious point that I made before there, Sam, is that Kenny Rosens will probably come out of this championship thinking, how have I not won that? Because I've been so quick. It's just a couple of really, in some cases odd and in some cases silly errors that have just grabbed it out of his grasp.
Well, he might not even be in the top 4. I think tonight he will leapfrog Poulet. So I think he'll finish 4th in the championship, but he's not even close to the top. I mean, he headed into this round 67 points back. I think that'll be about 60 after tonight. A race win is 50. And of course, you know, yeah, you can kind of identify, I guess, when you go across the season, across the 8 rounds, you know, where he's lost it. He missed at least 1 round, maybe 2 rounds. He had the problem at Monza, where he had an easy podium, probably 2nd place. But he finished like in 16th, I think, on that occasion, because he got a pit lane infringement penalty. And yeah, there's been a couple of other points which have just gone, which have escaped him. But hopefully we get to see him back next season, because usually, you know, drivers, everyone has a bad season in them now and again. But usually once you have one bad season, you can go on a great run of seasons after that, where you've used up all your bad luck, and then it's just good luck from here on in. So I think if Roosens did enter next season, even if Anger entered as well, I think they'd really be tied as the joint favourites.
Indeed. 15 minutes to go here at the Nurburgring. Juan Manuel Calleja and Jason Hodgson carry on their battle that has raged on throughout the day, and they're actually in the top 15 overall. And well, Sam, now's your opportunity to identify how well the Pro and Am classes have been split throughout this championship.
Yep. You know, thanks for bringing it up. They like to boast, I think, but
well, I thought you don't like to boast, so I'll mention it.
oh no, well, I love to boast, but I love it when other people boast for me, so big thanks for that. No, honestly though, and I mean, I'm not boasting here, but it's been absolutely terrific recently. The Formula 3 Championship, my god. I mean, it was insane. Every qualifying we had in the second half of the season, top 11 pros, bottom 11 apps, every round. It was incredible. I got used to it. I maybe didn't take advantage of it enough, but you can see it out there now. Out of the runners, yep, 13 pros, followed by 9 amateurs. And it's just remarkable to me as well. I mean, Calleja and Hodgson are so close to the back of Dad's right, and yet they're not quite getting past as well. It's defending the Pro-Am split brilliantly, so no, good work from the Arabelle athletes this season on that one.
Indeed, you know, Marco Barbanera, Dane Baird, Lee Thompson, Andrew Thompson, all of them.
Yep. Also, big. I will give a genuine shout out to Neil Butler. He's also done most of the admin on this season. Done a terrific job as Neil. In case he's watching along, I don't think he is, but no, Neil's done a super job. And I think the drivers are quite liked. His little insights before each of the race, warning them about the dangers of the circuit. Yeah, that's probably helped the racing, I'll say. So good work from him. Wiggins, meanwhile, just getting ahead of Robson, we just saw.
Good move. So Tabone has not let off the scent of Kenny Roosens. He fancies another go at this, and pulling 2 seconds out of somebody in the pit lane, Sam, is quite a chunk. That could be. What difference in fuel would that be? A gallon?
That's like 5 litres, isn't it?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, I think so. So how much fuel would they put in? They would probably put in 50 litres. Actually, probably not 50 litres, probably 30 litres, wouldn't it? For 20 minutes of racing. So, it was probably about a fifth of the fuel, wasn't it? Or maybe not a fifth. And I don't really know what I'm talking about, honestly. But I think 5 litres, yeah, that makes sense. 1/8 of 40 is 5. So yeah, 1 gallon. I think we've absolutely nailed that one. So no, that could be the difference. And interestingly, I mean, it's difficult to tell to Bones' pace because, you know, now he's got the draft and everything. But Fletcher's catching up. So that very much does indicate that Roosens is lapping a bit slower. He's in the 56s. Earlier on, Roosens was in the 55s. Now, obviously, again, you know, he's got more fuel in the car now. The tyres are wearing down. The track temperature is increasing, so it's difficult to identify. But I think certainly Fletcher catching does indicate that Roosens is having to manage something on that.
Yeah, he doesn't look his sprightly self, does Kenny Rosens. So I think he's maybe just keeping one eye on the fuel gauge. Now, of course, I'm sure being a top pro driver, he'll have an SDK Gaming overlay telling him exactly how much fuel he's using per lap. But if not, the dashboard, that's one thing about this BMW M4 GT3, the dashboard readout for fuel usage is so clear and so helpful. So if he's, say for example, he's not, if he were not using it, then the BMW is going to give him great information on how much fuel is left and how much he's using per lap.
He might not be particularly fast on most of the circuit, but that chicane, we've seen 2 laps in a row now, races in the different classes, as though he's taking the other chicane because he's able to pull away.
Straight line.
Yeah, I mean that's what he's doing. He's just taking all the curb. I mean that's so tricky as well. I mean, and look how much he lost in the braking zone. Yeah, he's left in case. I think you're absolutely right there, Peter. You identified it straight away when he came out of the pits that he hasn't taken enough fuel. Maybe we could just ride on board with him for a moment. I mean, to be fair, there's not really any big braking areas for a while, but that might be a little indication. Yeah, he's taking so much curve, so much confidence as well. So as he lifts.
Oh, huge
yeah,
coast.
I mean, that's a good one to lift for. I mean, the slower corners are easy to do that for. But, oh no, Tabone is super close. We couldn't quite see this one. And now Fletcher's going to attack as well. So I have to watch off board because Fletcher and Tabone are alongside one another. Tabone defending to the inside. He's got that one covered. But Tabone real needs to get past. And Rosens was so slow there. It seems like it's getting worse because he's into the 57s now, Peter. So, you know, even the lifting casing he's doing seemingly isn't enough.
Well, that's interesting because that's 2 seconds off his pace. So if he saved 2 seconds in the pit lane, he's giving it away and more. So whatever the strategy call was, could just be a miscalculation, in which case he can't possibly be using an SDK Gaming overlay because, well, he just wouldn't miscalculate, obviously. But yeah, huge, not just a little bit of fuel saving, like, you know, on fumes and the nearest petrol station is out of reach fuel saving. You know, Scotsman going down a hill and knock it into neutral fuel saving. You get the idea. I think Brandon Tabone and Mark Fletcher have got to play this one clever though, because if they fight with one another, that's exactly what Rosens needs. But if they play it smart, they can both get by him, I think, because Rosens is in a world of pain on fuel by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it does sure look bad as this is Penn going defensive against Hereford and Gribstad, the 2 luminous racing cars. And Gribstad Hereford just up the inside. It's going to be a poor exit, but that BMW is quick down the straight. I say that, he's about to be overtaken by a Porsche, which very much mutes that point. And wow, look at the straight line speed for Gribstad. He's going to be up 2 places, I think, by the end of this straight. Up the inside of Penn. Penn able to get the cut back. Penn, who we didn't see actually last time at Spa, but good to see him back out there tonight. I haven't seen a whole lot of him tonight, to be honest, either. But that is wondrous defending there, and he somehow keeps 9th position.
Yeah, great battle here between the Porsches of Grebstad and Leon Penn, and also Hereford in there as well in the BMW for Full Send Racing with Frozen Speed. Now, I did see on Twitter earlier on, Sam, that Frozen Speed, the motor racing sort of photography and artwork company, auctioned off a painting of the winning Manti Racing Porsche from the Nurburgring 24 Hour this year. €6,000 for the Eiffel Flood Victims Funds. Fantastic.
That's pretty cool. I had to read about that one. What was the image?
It was the Manti Racing, funnily enough, a Porsche 911 GT3R that Kevin Estra, Michael Christensen and Lars Kern took to victory in the Nurburgring 24 this year, or the Nurburgring 9.5 as it became with the night delay.
That's pretty awesome. It seems, and you know, I don't use a whole lot of tennis analogies. I love to bring up tennis whenever I can. I think Rosens may have done a bit of a Djokovic here, played possum looked down and out, and then he's just come back to life magically, because he's all of a sudden back in the 55s, so he's lapping a second and a half faster than he was before races. So that's bad news for Tabone and Fletcher, as here is Grebstad just moving ahead of Penn. Grebstad's got way more straight line speed. Maybe Penn's got some damage, or maybe it's just set up, so I don't know, but he's really looked good down that front stretch, so up to 9th position now. But yeah, Rosens, you can see 1.2 seconds clear. He matched Sven Newman on that last lap, so he was it seems like he saved all the fuel he needed, and he should be able to go flat out to the end. Or maybe he was covering off maybe an extra lap, but now his fuel calculator is saying that there's going to be one less lap than he thought, so he's not having to save fuel anymore.
Yeah, he seems to definitely have changed his strategy, that is for certain. Is Leon Penn getting into a bit of argy-bargy there and they've disappeared out the back of shot. Hereford just loosened them up, and that was enough to cover them. And well, Brandon Tabone and Mark Fletcher here. Fletcher goes by. This is dreamland for Rosens. If he is to be in trouble on fuel, well, this is Tabone and Fletcher are handing it to Rosens on a plate here.
Now this should be advantage Fletcher, but Tabone with the shorter run and with the fastest car down the straight as well. Contact between the two of them, and Tabone around. Can he get back going before Winkler turns up? No, and that's a very slow way of getting back going. Where's Marriott? Marriott's going to be too far back. Now, what was going on here? Who moved into who? Oh man, I can't call that one, Peter.
I prefer being a commentator than a race steward, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't want to be the one getting involved in that kind of stuff. Interesting, I've been writing my weekly column for PorscheSport.com this week, and it's about I think the best race in American Le Mans Series history, Laguna Seca 2009, where Jan Magnussen and Jörg Bergmeister have the most outrageous ding-dong. Bergmeister in the Porsche and Magnussen in the Corvette, and both gave it as good as they got. And I don't know how many times Magnussen thumped into the back of Bergmeister, and then they would clash at the side, and then on the run to the flag, but Magnussen just drilled Bergmeister out the way, and then Bergmeister ran him to the wall, and then Magnussen ended up in the wall, and I was like, goodness me, where do you even begin with that? You're almost better just banging the drivers' heads together and say, you guys go and work that out yourselves.
Yeah, I saw that one. I think it was recommended to me, and saw the last 5 laps or something of that race, and that was absolutely insane. It's you're absolutely right. It's probably one of the best sports car finishes, at least in Thai races. As Herford's just got past Penn, and also there was an issue for Tabone. If you get a replay of that one, because Tabone was just ahead of Marriott. We saw that battle starting at the end of at the start of this lap, but then Tabone, I think, had like an off of the circuit, and you can see he's now behind Engel as well. So Tabone's very quickly actually gone from 2nd down to 7th. I don't really know how that's happened, but it kind of just shows how close these drivers are. I mean, 22 seconds between the top 2, but then you've only got, 12 seconds from 2nd to, as Rosens and Fletcher.
Ooh.
Rosens is having to fuel save again, because he was just at a 58, did Rosens. He had a 36.3 first sector. He lost 9/10 in the first sector alone. Just showing how much fuel saving he's doing heading into turn 1. So maybe he thought he was clear, because he did a real good 55. That's flat out pace. He hasn't got anything more to spare, and now he's having to fuel save again. But somehow he's managed to keep Fletcher behind it, and that was all fair and square there for Rosens. He left the space, and Fletcher, with the difficulty of the undulating turn 1 there, just couldn't get the car turned.
No, he couldn't. That's right. Just a bit of understeer there, interestingly, for Fletcher. But they both carry on, and this has got a bit of air of that Laguna Seca race, because in that particular example, Jörg Bergmeister was leading, but tyres were gone, and Magnussen was on the fresher tyre, but was just couldn't find a way past. And I'm sure Kenny Rosens despite having to hit a particular fuel number. You could really just see how much he's losing in the braking zones to Fletcher with that fuel saving. Whoa. He's going to have to make that BMW very, very wide, I think. And Fletcher will know, because they'll not expect Rosens to be going at this pace.
This is crazy from Newman, but fortunately, Newman hasn't quite forced an extra lap. So I was thinking maybe that Newman would force an extra lap, but he was just 15 seconds short. So this will be the final lap of the race. And let's see, cuts a corner or two. And is Rosens able to stay ahead of Fletcher heading into turn 1? I think that's going to be the big place. Cannot. He can hold on. 57 that last time round, so actually not too bad considering that they made contact. That was a pretty handy lap there from Rosens, so he's escaped the majority of it now, but of course he could easily just splutter to the line, and that would cost him.
Well, the fuel light will be on, it will be beeping at him, it will be flashing at him, and he'll be going, no, carry on, onwards. One more lap of the season for Kenny Rosens and Mark Fletcher, but Sven Newman, what a drive this is going to be. He's going to come up just short of the championship, but wow, what a champion grade drive this has been from Sven Newman for Core Sim Racing. He does make a bit of a habit of this, of coming on strong at the end of championships, but wow, absolutely flawless from pole position. He's just marched off with it, Sam.
Yeah, we haven't seen a drive like this one all season. He did win at Red Bull Ring and I think one other race as well, but not in this style. And it's going to be another runner-up, just as he was in the Colbeck GT Championship. But no, I think he will have a very big grin on his face coming to the end of this season.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Well, Sven Newman comes over the line to win the final round of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy, and with a 155.7 to close off proceedings on really hot pace all the way to the checkered flag. Now, can Kenny Rosens hang on for one more corner? Is there enough fuel left in the tank to gas it up? Up the gearbox he goes to the checkered flag. Then Kenny Rosens hangs on to second place. A super drive from the Belgian, with Mark Fletcher in his wheel tracks in third, Carl Winkler in fourth, and Maxime Marriott, the first of the Porsches, home in fifth position. And for Jason Hodgson, a couple more corners and an AM class win for the Americans, Sam.
Yeah, I wonder if we missed what happened to Kahea out there. I might have to do some digging on that one. But Hodgson, I think the fastest driver out there tonight. Erdan actually fairly close. Erdan's in the Porsche just behind the 233, the Swiss driver. So Erdan catching up fairly quick in the closing stages. But no, this will be a real good win for the XZ Altitude Esports driver. And hopefully we might see him back in the Pro Championship next season. Should be able to qualify, I imagine, based on his finish this championship. And the American rounds to the final corner, and he will take the final amateur race win of the season. Great work from him, Erdan and Kahea rounding up the podium. Smith with a problem on that final lap. He had to come into the pits, I think, for a little bit extra fuel. This was what happened to Kahea, then contact with the BMW ahead. I think that was with Dadswell just ahead, and Dad is not well if Dad is Kahea. And he spun round and lost not just first position but also second.
I'm not counting that as repetition. That is solid gold, Sam.
Yeah,
that was good. I like that.
Say?
Yeah, like that. Improvisation. We've got a photobomb going on here, have we? We've got a Porsche pork sandwich here between the Bavarians. Very nice. Very nice indeed there from Core Sim Racing.
I will just say as well, I think with that result, and it was fairly close at the end, I believe PIA Competition Esports are the champions in the teams. Core Sim Racing running them close, and had they had two drivers tonight, I think they would have won it. because managed to get so many points. Did Newman for that race win? But he was the only Course Sim Racing 1 driver. Of course, there were Course Sim Racing 2 drivers out there, but they score points for separate teams because you have a maximum of 3 drivers per team. So congratulations to Paye out there, and congratulations as well to Core. But yeah, they love their second places, do Core. They did win the Colbeck GT Championship, to be fair, in the teams, but a couple of runner-up positions. Of course, to Paye Motorsports, you get 2 wins with Anger in the drivers, and also winning as a team as well.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, that to get the double there for Paye competition. I think they'll be super chuffed with that. Sven Newman, then, your winner by, well, a colossal margin, 24 seconds from Kenny Roselands, who came through the field from 13th on the grid to second. Really superb from the Belgian. Mark Fletcher as well, a very good drive indeed from the Briton, rounding out the podium. Carl Winkler was 4th with Maxime Marriott, the first of the Porsches, in 5th. Dominique Engel was 6th, followed by Brandon DeBoon, Jonathan Poulet, Hakon Grebstad, and Oyston Hereford round out the top 10. Leon Penn was 11th, followed by Stefan Nikolajevic, and Jason Hodgson, your AM class winner after a hard fight with Juan Manuel Calleja. Tom Dadswell was 14th, followed by Dave Erden, Juan Manuel Calleja, Aaron Smith, and Alain Carregier in 18th, with Josh Wiggins and Paul Robson rounding out the top 20. Fernando Torres was 21st, followed by Angel Pedrero, Luke McCone, Gaten Anger, Kieran Smart, Yuri Pepin Evers, and Dan Murray. And despite that DNF, Sam, Gaten Anger is our champion.
Yep, and by a decent margin as well. I know Newman, won a few races during the season, but Anger, I think, still with a 17-point advantage at the end of the championship, and with the consistency he had, there was absolutely no one really coming close to him. So congratulations. It's a very rare feat to win 2 championships in a row. I think Tom McMahon managed to do it in the GT Championship in Season 2 and Season 3 of that series. And off the top of my head, I honestly cannot think of anyone else. Kev Copeland, maybe in the amateurs, I think may have accidentally won 2 in a row. So it's an epic achievement from Anger, and in this quality of field, to win like he did is a huge achievement.
Wojciech Suridovic, would he be another?
Well, that was pre-ARL. He did win the ARL Winter Series, but he only won the one ARL TC Championship. But that is a good shout, too. He did win 4 on the trots, I believe.
That is impressive in touring car racing. Wow. Well, maybe Gaten Anger, will he be the Wojciech Suridovic of ARL GT Trophy?
I think it's a good shout. I mean, well, okay, we can be pedantic here. I'm not one to be pedantic, but if we were being pedantic,
if we were, let's pretend, Sam, won't we?
Yeah, let's pretend. Well, of course, next season it will be a name change. It will be the Apex Racing League GT3 Pro Championship trophy. Sorry, oh man, I need to improve on that. Apex Racing League GT3 Pro Trophy next season. So technically it would be a separate championship, but I think it's all the same, isn't it? So he could go for the 3-peat, and to win the Pro Trophy of all of them, that would be that would take the mantle, I think.
Now I'm going to say no. I'm going to say a change of nomenclature, different ball game, and do you know why? Because Scotland will forever be the reigning 5 Nations rugby champions.
Oh, well, and then they added Italy.
Yes. I remember my dad, bless him, biggest rugby fan ever, used to play rugby at a very good level, and he was so, I mean, I was quite young at the time, and that's how long ago it was, and he was so drunk, and he just says, remember, son, we'll always be 5 Nations champions.
Yeah, you're still catching to that one 30 years later?
Oh, it was certainly, I think it was late 90s, 98, 99, something like that.
Well, yeah, well, maybe Anger will be thinking the same thing, thinking, I am the reigning Apex Racing League GT Trophy champion. So,
Forever.
Yep, clutching onto that one. Yeah, well done to him. Unfortunately, no one's having a chat with us, which is very unusual, because in the Mazdas last night, we couldn't have enough of them. In fact, actually, Pete, I mean, you may want to watch it back, because we had the Irish contingent in the comms.
I
we
love
had
it.
the three of them. Damien McMullen, the legend, Mr. Positive. He could literally fill
the
up
people's champion of ARL. Full stop.
Very nearly the champion. He was runner-up in the amateur championship, actually, was Damien. And then Nathan Healy, and a couple of others as well. And I think 6 drivers we had interviews with. But in this championship, no one really wants to have a talk with us. I will give another shout out, by the way, to, of course, the upcoming season. I did mention it just before, but starting in 3 weeks' time, we have got the new season, basically, of this championship. It's basically season 3 of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy. Really, the couple of changes, a couple of format changes. You know, it's definitely only going to be GT3 cars now. Group qualifying rather than solo qualifying, which I'm very much looking forward to. I love group qualifying, everyone out on circuit with one another, and also a minimum iRating as well. 2.2k is minimum iRating, so it is the Pro Championship, so even more prestige, because lots of prizes on offer, lots of great racing, as I'm sure you've seen tonight, and that is a 9-round championship. So go to apexracingleague.com to check out that championship, or the other championships Apex Racing League offer, and also join our Discord server as well. There's a link to it in the description below.
Well, that is all we have time for tonight here on Apex Racing TV, after what has been a superb Apex Racing League GT Trophy season. A huge congratulations to Gate and Anger for winning the Pro Championship, and indeed Juan Manuel Calleja for the AM Championship. It's been super to bring you all the action here on Apex Racing TV, and we hope to see you again for another broadcast. Good night.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross world champion Mitchell de Jong
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.